Okay, good morning. Jess's mom came to visit. A lot of things are getting done. The barn is all different now, so we have a lot more space. They rearranged the kitchen and living area. They have been going to town. We got a little motorcycle project here, so we're putting the pannier bag holders and panniers on the saddlebags. You can check that out on our Backroad Adventure Bike channel. All right, let's go feed the chickens. So we'll also be setting up the fencing. We got pretty much the rest of the stuff we need to start working on the electric line. Chickens kind of got an upgrade today. They have a solar charger and some new fencing so they can be outside their cage now. Our neighbor's letting us use this, see if it's something we want to do. Maddie's played with the electric fence already. Yeah. So this is the 0.3 joule unit. It's very low power. It's unfortunate when that happens, but they learn quick. Dogs do. We should be able to keep a lot of predators out this way. And again, we'll be putting up our electric fence on the perimeter and going that route. So we got some deer that have been coming through here, and we need to stop that from happening. That works. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, babies. Good morning. What you doing? What, you picking up my wallet? Going straight for the wallet? Yeah. Good morning. What you doing? So we cleared the rear lines here. There's still some raspberries in the back that I got to get out of there, and then we'll be able to put up my goal is 7-strand electric line and 4 hot, 3 ground. When the clay gets dry, it's very difficult to get a good contact, so the shock isn't as good, or there's no shock at all. So we put the ground lines in with the hot lines, so the animal that's trying to get through, once it makes contact with both lines, they get the full shock. Sunchokes are doing good. They're coming up real good. Zucchini's starting to come up. We started putting these bird deterrents all over, and those have been helping. Cabbages are coming up, marigolds are coming up. I need to prune the tomatoes like something fierce, get them up. We have an abundance of peas, some of which I have purposely left on the vine to dry out. I want to try to grow enough for seeds for next year. Beans are doing good. We got the strawberries coming through, the few that we have. We're supposed to have hundreds of strawberries, and we never got our order. So no comment. Peppers. We got peppers that we grew down there from seed, and then the ones we bought because I didn't have any of those seeds. And then the black oil sunflowers. Again, we dwarfed a few of them by stunting them. We grew them really early and then didn't transplant them outside real quick, so they're small. One of the other things we have, we're going to see if we can, this looks like some kind of wheat. And one of the things we want to do is get some, what is it, elkhorn wheat, the ancient wheat strand that isn't the glucose. So basically the structure of the plant has not been modified, so the glucose isn't as much of an issue. When you got modified hybrids of wheat, I think that's where a lot of us started developing our gluten intolerance, because the makeup of the hybrid wheats is much different than that of the ancient wheats. So people have a lot better experience with the ancient wheat grains. We'll put some links down below of the ones we're looking at and getting and trying, but you definitely want to. Humans screw up so much stuff. I mean, for all the great stuff we do, we start modifying food and making it more complex, and we start making people sick. And it's so frustrating to have to deal with that. So luckily, some people have preserved ancient wheat strands, and that's what we want to plant. We want all our flour to come from the ancient grains, biblical ancient grains, and get back to a sustainable way of living through, I mean, going back right to the core, processing our own meat, our own grains, our own fruit and vegetables. If we know it came from back here, we know it hasn't been sprayed with some chemicals, we know the life cycle of the plant and the animals. It's just the barrage of crap right now happening across the world. The poisons that are being injected, it's pure evil. It's pure evil. So my neighbor also told me about all the ticks that he's been having trouble with. And I said, do you spray your clothing? And he says, no. I'm like, okay, well, that's unfortunate. With all the different camping, recreational activities, the live action role play stuff we do, we're always out in the fields, we're always out in the wilderness. A lot of times there's not trails. It's not like we're the ones making the trails. So Jeep stuff, motorcycle stuff, medieval stuff, whatever. And so what we do is we treat our clothing with, and this isn't, we're not paid to talk about this, but Sawyer makes a good product that you can get at most box stores. And then permethrin that you can get from your agricultural stores, which is a super concentrate. You mix this down depending on what you're using it for, and then you put it in some kind of spray apparatus. But basically, when you put this stuff on your clothing, what you're doing is preventing ticks and chiggers. I mean, it works to a degree on mosquitoes and that kind of stuff too. Basically, this will treat clothing for many weeks and multiple washes. Once it's in the fibers, it will protect that clothing. So if a tick gets on the clothing, comes in contact with it, it'll either fall off or die or both. It's a great way to not have to use DEET, and it's safe for livestock, plants, and humans. You can spray it on your skin, but your body will metabolize this because it's a synthetic of a plant-based derivative. It's a derivative of a plant-based product. So the stuff that's been simulated comes from a natural source. We should be able to get the natural source, make a tincture or something. We want to do that as well, but we know this works really well. Down here, the Lone Star tick carries the disease that makes meat taste bad. Basically, you can't eat meat anymore once you get this disease. And it's a specific type of enzyme that makes you allergic to meat. And you can go into anaphylactic shock if you eat it. It doesn't just come on suddenly. So the Lone Star ticks are a real thing you got to be careful of here. Was it produced intentionally? Go ahead and look up how Lyme's disease was introduced to ticks in the 60s. You can go down that rabbit hole yourself. Again, everything's worked against us and designed to be a weapon against people. So it's unfortunate. Okay, so the first thing we're going to set up is our story pole. our cheater stick to get all the measurements right. So we have it laid out, and we're going to do 48 inches, 40 inches, 32 inches, 24, 18, 12, and 6. And so it's spaced tighter together at the bottom to keep barmen out or dogs out. And maybe we could keep the chickens in. I don't know. I think that's probably still too much of a spacing, but we'll see. The bigger birds, I think, would adhere to that. We'll figure it out. So we're going to take down these raspberries. I don't know what kind they are. They're not thornless. I was going to transplant them and remove them, but because I don't know the variety and because we freeze dry stuff and sell it, I need to know the variety. I need to know if it's, I just need to know what it is. So I don't know what these are, so I'm just going to take them away. All right, we got some of this stuff cleared out. And now we're gonna put some of the top line in. So I have a spinning Jenny, but I didn't set it up yet. And this is a 14 gauge wire. So I can manipulate it a little bit easier than 12 gauge. Doing the front row now. Setting the first one up at 48 inches. As soon as I make it. And if it doesn't make it, just go to at the top.
That top?
Top, yeah. As top as the top can top. You can slide it up a little bit. You know. What is that?
I don't know, I found it.
Probably one of the things that how they make them. Okay. For high tensile electric line, these posts will serve an adequate amount of strength to put these up. If we were going to do barbed wire, these would have to come down, and they don't have enough structural support. So yeah, so we're going to make one line here, one line there, and put the tensioners on, and then move to the next row. All right, so we got one side set up. So I got the tensioner in, and then we cleared all of this out and got this wrapped around. This is extra long, so it can connect all the different sections together. And now we'll work on the far side. Get that isolator on, and then tension it up. We got this all wrapped up. Leave the extra to connect the other lines. Okay, now let's tighten it up. All right, after a long day, a couple of days actually, rearranging fence posts, we finally have our first 7-strand electric line in place. This thing should be able to hold pigs, goats, anything really that we want it to hold. The only thing, if the deer start jumping it, is we're going to throw another line up top or stagger the line to make it so that it's hard for depth perception of the deer to figure out that this isn't a straight solid fence. It was very difficult putting existing T-posts back together. This property had a lot of T-posts, however they were not in great shape. A lot of them weren't straight, and trying to run line in a straight fashion was extremely difficult because you don't want a lot of tension at weird angles on the insulators. So our neighbor's going to come over with this fancy tester that he uses for his cattle, and my tester doesn't do like this low voltage system very well. I can see it, but it's not a very, he's got the high Zoot fancy reading machine that I didn't want to buy because it's expensive, but will be needed once we get everything set up and all this separated. So we are at the Blanchard Springs. John Blanchard, his old homestead. This is his stomping grounds right here. We're at the site of the spring where the mill was created.